Fuel comes from uncomfortability. Fuel comes from pain. The more pain you could bear, the more fuel you could get.
You don't know where to go and you're backed into a corner, and no matter how much you fight, how do you handle your shortcomings as an entrepreneur?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the PeakFlow podcast. Today, we have my co-host with me, Jackie Chan.
What's up?
For those that don't know who I am, my name is Marcus Land. I identify myself as he and him. And in today's episode, what are we going to talk about, Jackie? Because I know you have a list of questions that we want to, share upon the PeakFlow audience.
Yeah, so we're going to begin this podcast with a little bit of fun, right? I have a couple of things pulled up. First off, so this is new, okay? There was a post from Jackie Chan, the man himself, like the real Jackie Chan, not me.
Like Jackie Chan from Rush Hour Jackie Chan.
Yeah, Rush Hour Jackie Chan.
Okay.
Like the OG Jackie Chan. So here's the news, right? And we're going to pull up the picture right on the screen as well. Jackie Chan's estimated 400 million fortune is not expected to be inherited by his son, JC, due to concerns over potential mismanagement of the wealth. So pretty much he's saying that
he's not giving money to his son.
He's not giving money to his son. Quoted from him says, if he is capable, he can make his own money. If he is not, then he would just be wasting mine. How do you feel about that?
I hate to say, but I agree. I think that if I had a lot of money and my children thought that they could just leak off of me, I would be doing them a disservice. And it's not that you don't love the child. Many people might think like, oh, he's just being a cruel dad. He's not letting them have, the money. But here's the thing. If you spoil the kid with all that money, I just feel like you rob him away of the process, right? To become the person. It's not the money that makes the man. It's the man that makes the money, right? Like many people say, oh, I want to be a millionaire. But what does that really mean other than the money in your bank account? It also means that you learn how to be disciplined. You have the traits and the fundamentals of a millionaire, being disciplined, being able to take hard storms, being able to go through challenges. Those are the skills that you have to go through. And then going back to the Jackie Chan thing, I think he just wants the best for his kid because, Jackie Chan, he has all that fame. He has all that power, influence, money. To say that like the kid isn't like a little spoiled, I don't know him. I'm not gonna say, but from that type of logical background, I would say like the kid was probably born in a really good, background. So obviously he doesn't want to spoil the kid. How do you feel about that?
First, I thought he was a savage with it. I was like,
you thought he was a savage?
Yeah, I was like, damn. Imagine having 400 million plus to your net worth, and then you're like, I'm not giving it to my son. But
I'm sure he has a spare for him.
He probably does, but like, there's been some cases where he got arrested for having marijuana, and
the son?
Yeah, the son, JC. And in China, that's
a big felony.
That's a huge felony. Like you can probably get executed or like your hands amputated for it.
No, you're lying.
Or like at least like a lot of years in jail.
Is that big
for having marijuana? Yeah, it's pretty big out there. It's
that
like
I didn't know. That I didn't know.
Other countries compared to the US, if you have marijuana, it's like a huge felony, like as if like you killed someone. So that's crazy. But if you had all the money in the world, or like at least like if you have like a big net worth, you wouldn't give it to your son. You wouldn't give it to your kids.
I would have a backup fund for them so like they never go broke on the streets. But I don't think I would want to give them like $400 million. You ever heard of that quote from like Instagram where they say, if you're the one that's walking to school, your son's gonna be driving a car, your grandson's gonna be driving a Ferrari, and then it like the cycle repeats. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't explain that one correctly, but it's more of like there's cycles to the family generation, and I think Jackie Chan made a lot of money, and in order to kind of like preserve that wealth, and it's not like just wealth of money, it's the wealth of the mind. How do you keep your sons from not being spoiled from the benefits of the riches, right? So I think it's a bold move, it's a savage move, but it's also necessary if he really loves a kid, and seems like he does really love the children.
What would the actual actions and like things that you would take to like teach your son these skills, these values, instead of just like saying, hey, listen, I got the money, but I'm not gonna give it to you? Would you just like go out there and find yourself? Like Shaq
does the same thing. Shaquille O'Neal? He has a very similar approach with all of his children.
I heard so too.
He's not like going to give it to them. I think he gives it more leeway to like his daughters. But when it comes to his son, how do you get your son to like grow up and really take on challenges? You have to sometimes just throw them into the water. and hope that everything that you taught them, like they start to learn, they pick up and can't avoid the mistakes. That's what makes a man. Right? Every single challenge that you went through, every single struggle, adversity that you went through, that made you a better man, right?
I agree.
But if you have, daddy's money always as like your fund, $400 million, you go into any business, lose a whole ton of money and still be all right. That's not how life works for the average, person that's trying to make it. And I think that process, it needs to be taught. And the only way you have to teach it is you got to throw them into the water and just hope and pray, and watch them from afar, right? It's not like just, go do nothing. It's like, go try things, go get a degree, go get education, go try businesses, meet people, and you learn, and it is what it is. Go from there. How do you feel about that?
I feel like when you're backed into a corner where like, all right, I don't have any support, there's no plan B, like your bridges are burned. Not exactly totally burned, but in a metaphorical sense.
Right.
Like your bridges are burned. You start to like act differently and like you do things with more intention, more mindfulness, There was also this case where 50 Cent's son, right? He was on TV, like social media, complaining about how he was getting like $6 to $7 grand a month. And he was like, how am I supposed to like, pay for like my lifestyle? Talking mad shit to like 50 Cent, making a whole video and it going viral. And obviously like there were like a lot of like sides to this, like there was one side in the comment chat was like, yo, like 50 Cent's this and that. But the majority of the commenters were like, yo, this kid is spoiled. Man, spoiled. It's crazy, no?
It's not even the kid's fault though. Because like if you were born into that, that's your normalcy. That's what's normal to you. Your dad is like super famous. You're used to going to like the luxury hotels. You're used to being greeted with respect. You're used to this, you're used to that. That's what was normal to them, right? That's like saying going up to like a rich kid, like a second or third gen that has millions of dollars, and they don't really understand like the true worth of like a Ferrari.
They don't understand the trenches.
Like I when I went to college and I went to SUNY Binghamton, right? Shout out to Binghamton Bearcats. I was interacting with a lot of like college students that came from abroad, like came from China, and they're rich. Like when I'm saying rich, like crazy. And they would have like all these nice luxury cars and stuff, but
at Bing?
Yeah. Lambos, Ferraris. Yeah.
At Bing?
Yeah,
yo, imagine
bro.
seeing a Lamborghini at Bing. It's ridiculous.
You laughing? Yeah, no, I took a picture during my freshman year. I was like, oh my God, it's the first time I like was in the presence of a supercar. I was like geeked out. But then you interact with them. Yeah, like money doesn't mean as much to them. Like, like it's just like how you said with the 50 Cent, 5-6 grand. How am I supposed to live off of that? Yeah, like they're on another level, bro.
I think when I do have a son and I do have a daughter, I'm definitely gonna raise them very modestly. So like they don't get spoiled and like they don't feel like they don't have to work for anything. You know what I'm saying? Like if I just hand them like money on a silver platter, it's like, hey, like this is our lifestyle, welcome, right? I think that would make them a little bit more spoiled and make them take a lot of things for granted.
That's easier said than done though, bro. Because think about it, right? Let's just say, we grind for 5-10 years and we get the success and accolades that we have. Are you going to dumb down your lifestyle and live in a lifestyle full of modest with your children? Like really think about it, right? Like your children don't get to see these grinding years of like pure grind, right? I'm sure like Jackie Chan's son did not see his father going through all of those shootings, going through stunts and seeing all that. They didn't see it. What they saw when they came into the world was dad has a lot of freaking cars, money, mansion.
He's Jackie Chan.
He's Jackie Chan.
Crazy, right?
They don't see the process. So let me rephrase that and ask you, right? How would you teach your son to live in modesty if your lifestyle is going to be like everything that you work for? Like, you worked your 5-10 years, your butt off for this. You're not going to downgrade your lifestyle and then try to live in modesty. You're going to keep on progressing. But then how do you teach your kids the same morals given those great circumstances financially?
I think that it's like having him do the work for him to earn certain things. Like for example, like I used to do like chores to like earn money from my parents. Little things like that. So he understands the value of like hard work and not giving him an allowance unless like he does certain things. Certain things for like positive reinforcement, like getting good grades. For example, like reading certain books, right? Then like I'll buy him like a couple of things, like things that he wants, But I feel like when I grow up or like in the future, am I going to want to like live in a mansion where like I have a bunch of maids cleaning in the house 24/7? I don't know if that's like the lifestyle I want, you know, because I think I saw a podcast with Luke Belmore in it, right? And he was like,
You watch Luke Belmore?
yeah, great guy, by the way.
Fantastic.
So
Shout out Luke Belmore.
Yeah, facts. So like he was saying how like, he had like a $4 million crib after he made a success in crypto and then ecom, right? And then he just like hated his lifestyle where like he felt like in his $4 million crib, there was always a cleaning lady. There was always someone like working there. So like you didn't have actual like privacy, you know? How do you feel about that?
I 100% could see that happen. I think that it's very normal, right? Once you get to that level. You know Alex Becker? Alex Becker had that same problem. For those that don't know who Alex Becker is, he's just another guy in the entrepreneur space that's very well known. I think he had a SaaS company. But now he pretty much like just makes YouTube videos and he has like one apartment and everything is super simplified. But going back to what you just said, they had the same problem of like, yo, they worked so hard for all that money. Then they had like a house, a mansion with tons of, you know, workers. And there's always like a problem going on.
Always a problem. A lot of maintenance fees.
A lot of maintenance.
A lot of paying your
It's
workers.
Like just, you know, sucks money out of your wallet. And then you kind of like go into this part of your life where you reassess, like, is this worth it? Like, what am I doing this for? And then, you know, what they say is that they're just like, yo, my life is infinitely better when I'm just working on like creating something. I'm just filming simple things. And I have to give them, you know, some form of authority or legitimacy when they say that. Like, that's what grounds me sometimes. It's like, yo, they're at the place where I want to be. And they're saying that it's not about the mansion. It's not about the mate. It's not about the fancy cars. It's actually just about the process. It's about creating. When they say stuff like that, it certainly, you know, gives me a little more gravity in the back of my mind of like, okay, money isn't everything. Like, it's more about also enjoying it, creating, and loving everything you do in between.
I feel like when, like, even for like my clients in Jersey, right?
Okay.
I work at this place in New Jersey, Deal. Everywhere you go is a mansion, but also every house you go to, there's a house aide, you know? And yeah, like after some time, they become like a part of your family kind of, right? But like, they're always like there cleaning. You don't really have any privacy really, you know? So it was like, do I want that lifestyle? I don't know. I feel like I would rather have an apartment or like a house where it's like not crazy huge, like a mansion where I have to like always maintain, always put in money to like maintain it, or like have like a aide there working 24/7. I'd rather have my own private space to like work and grinding, you know?
100%.
How about you?
You remember when we went to Vegas and we were in like that community where like a gated community?
Oh yeah, that was crazy.
I thought that was really cool where you have like a gate. That's where I would want to aspire to. I don't necessarily want maids to invade my privacy. In fact, like, you know, I don't mind cleaning sometimes. I like cleaning my own stuff, you know, but maids would be optional. But I definitely want to have more of like a gated community. I want to be in a community of other people that are also like aspiring and growing, right? That's, I think, the biggest part of like being rich. When you're rich, you get to surround yourself with other rich people, and then you get to like enjoy the luxuries. And then guess what? The more you guys talk, you guys just make money together. It's like rich people attract rich people, right? I think that's the best part of it. In terms of like the lifestyle and stuff, nah, I don't need no maids. I just want a community of people where like, even if I'm not there, my children still has like a community of friends, like, you know, Uncle Jackie's, you know, and Uncle Jackie's children, right? Like a community of people that share the same values, the same morals that we do of hard work, discipline. And I think that's where my ideal place would be. Of course, I'd love to have like my own personal gym, you know, my own personal workspace, but all of that is all extremes. I think first and foremost, when it comes to like a home, it's about the community. Like there's a difference between a house and a home, right? A home is where, you know, there's love, there's family, children, positivity. It's your sanction of, you know, peace. That's the first thing that I would do. Build that community or just find people that already have a community and try to join in. That kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think like in the future, when you have like a base and you have like enough money to like control where you live and like control like your decisions, right? I feel like being able to surround yourself with people who are like-minded like you, who are also striving to be successful, even though they have pretty much accomplished it, is like a very, very important thing to have around you. You know, because there are a lot of people who have money and are not happy, right? There are a lot of people who don't have money and are really happy as well, you know? So I think it's just like reframing like your mindset, you know? And I want to move on to another question where it's going to be a more entrepreneur and like business-y, right? So I want to ask you, How do you handle your shortcomings as an entrepreneur? And I want you to follow up with, where do you fall short with your skills and how do you compensate for that?
Let's define some words real quick and unpack that, right? What's shortcoming to you? What do you mean by shortcoming? Like the problems I'm faced with in the short term?
Like, for example, like I think in anyone's journey becoming an entrepreneur, you're going to suffer a lot of like mistakes and obstacles, especially when starting, when you don't have much of the skills and running your own businesses, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I want you to lay out a couple of real examples that you experienced and then how you got over them and then what skills you acquired or had in order to compensate for those mistakes.
Got it. Okay. When it comes to like starting a business, entrepreneurship, the biggest problem that I see that I face myself is mindset. Mindset is everything because you can't control the circumstances around you. You can't control the problems that are going to arise. The only thing in this world that you could really control is your mind and the way you purpose the situations across. Like if you're someone that's going into business, entrepreneurship, 100% you're going to face a lot of problems and adversity, right? Everybody does. What makes the individual different is how you frame those problems, how you frame yourself when those shortcomings happen. For example, I was telling you about how I had that one client that got a damaged item and then I had to cough up the money to buy a replacement one. And during the exchange, you know, I get the credit back for the refund, right? So little things like that, where one person might look at it as like, well, this customer is trying to freaking scam me and just take all the money and, you know, screw me over. Another position could just be like, the customer might have lost some trust. We didn't communicate as well. Let's try to make it right and try to make the best case scenario out of this bad situation. Because I know you saw me like 2-3 weeks ago. I was a little bit flustered because I was doing high ticket dropshipping. If you guys don't know what high ticket dropshipping is, check out PeakFlow Academy. But I got an order for a $8,000 item. My customer got the item. It was damaged. So I had to work with the supplier to get me a new one. So customer's super angry. I had to go ahead and what do I do? You know, because we got him the new item delivered, but he was like, no, I'm going to keep both because I need my credit back. Some BS. And then now you really have to position yourself of like, well, what do I do? Right? These are some challenges that you're going to have to come across. And I think the biggest core of entrepreneurship is self-development. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
Business is a lot of self-analyzation.
I feel like entrepreneurship is not just like money and just like business.
It's not.
It's also like developing your mindset, developing, you know, maturing that mindset where like, listen, like I can't control everything that happens to me, but I can control my actions and I can control the effort that I put out, you know?
100%. Like I can't control the shipping company might have misplaced the item and damaged it. I can't control the customer not agreeing. And you can't control that stuff, right? And I'm sure other business owners in my field might have faced those problems as well. The only thing you can control is how you look at it. Because the way you look at it is the way you're going to handle the situation. I could have looked at it as like, yo, this customer is just 100% trying to scam. He's trying to screw me over. I'm going to screw him over. And you fight negative with negative.
And it's like a cycle.
It's a cycle.
Spiraling
and
down.
A momentum. And sure, like you could go with that. But you could also just take the approach of trying to turn negatives into positive. I try to turn everything into positive in my life.
I want to ask like how, when you were in that mindset and you were kind of like spiraling down, like he's going to do this, so I'm going to do this, you know? How did you get yourself out of that mindset?
That's a great question. You saw how flustered I was, right?
Yeah, you were very frustrated.
Because that was like $5,000 on the line, 5-8 grand.
That's tough.
Everything seems like freaking destruction, like volcanoes. I'm pissed off. Of course I'm pissed off. And for me, I like to like run out the most evil, not like the most evil, but like, how do I screw this customer back for trying to screw me over? For me, I like just reassess like, do I really want to get there though? Like, is there another way to make this situation a little bit more positive? You ever heard of Sun Tzu? Sun Tzu.
He wrote The Art of War.
The Art of War.
That's a really hard read, but it's a good book.
It's a very hard read. In fact, I didn't really comprehend 80% of it. But what I did comprehend was that the best wars are those that are not fought. I live by that now. It resonated with me a lot because when I was younger and I was practicing martial arts, the first rule that I was taught was don't bully people. Don't use your skills in martial arts to take advantage. It's for defending. Don't start fights. That's the first rule. And that was a rule that took a lot of instilling on me because I actually was a little bully. I was a fat boy bully in like the second grade.
You were a violent kid.
So I got punished. I got punished because they're like, you have the capabilities to, fight. Why are you picking on somebody that's weaker? Pick on someone your own size, So from that point on, I've always just kind of understood that like, you don't have to fight every single battle. Fight when you really have to, defend. Don't let people, just step over you. You certainly have to defend, but also just be able to reassess. Remember, like the best wars are those that are not fought. So when I have these mindsets, when I have these shortcomings, that's how I approach it. I'm like, yo, this is tough. I could screw this customer over and I'm sure like I'll be all right. He's going to be all right. But do we got to get there? How do we come into the best situation? How do we turn this negative into a positive? And when you come from an intention place of that, bro, I called the customer like 20 times in like the span of 10 minutes. He was not picking up. And I just kept calling. I kept reassuring him. I kept telling him like, listen, I'm trying to work something out with you. Can you please try to work something out with me? They hear, it's not like what you say. It's like how you say it. They heard that it's from a place of genuine intention. And fast forward now, like he's actually trying to arrange that pickup with me. I'll keep you updated of what happens, but I don't think he's here to scam. He's like 60 years old. I think he just lost trust with my company at first, and I was able to regain it. Certainly, I'm on a thin ice, but that's how you do it. It's like for me, like like I'll assess every single possible scenario. I'll see if we have to go to war. Do we need to go to that place, right? Or can we just bounce back and have a positive situation? So that's how I approach it. How do you feel about that?
I like how you said that not all battles have to be fought, or like not all victories are meant to be fought with battle, Like victories can be won by reassessing the situation and figuring out like a win-win situation, which is what you did. And that's very, very important for like a lot of things in business, especially when you deal with like customer service space, right? Like I definitely had like a lot of customers for my e-commerce store, PeakFlowFitness.com, where I was dealing with a lot of people who were buying a lot of backboards, right? And where they were purchasing the item and they weren't getting the response that they wanted, right? And they were obviously complaining. And I feel like when you're in a customer service-based kind of business, right? Yes, the customer is always correct, but you also have to make sure that you cover your grounds and then you make sure that you implement a plan to execute accordingly. So the customer feels good about themselves and you feel good about yourself moving on for both of parties in the future,
Yeah, it's all about having both parties win, right? Like when a customer spends money on your store, they're giving you their trust, their hard-earned money. You can't take that for granted. I certainly did at one point, because when you get so many orders, each client is like, well, it doesn't really matter because I could get more. Yes, true. But, live with integrity, Marcus. I'm still trying to learn that myself. My customer service is not perfect. I'll be honest. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. I think customer service is about negotiating with the client, trying to understand from their perspective. And when you think about it like that, right? When somebody pays you money, like $4 or $5 grand for something, they want, just a follow-up. Bro, I had cases where like, I hate to say it, but like I didn't respond to a customer for like 1 or 2 months on email because I just didn't see the email. And that's my fault, obviously. Recently, I've implemented all of like my email contacts into like the CRM. So like I could just follow up with them inside one platform. But before that, it could get easy to just neglect some emails. Like, I don't freaking check all my emails 24/7. And then they lose the trust with you, right? Because they didn't respond to you. How would you feel if you spent 4 or 5 grand and then you try to ask for your tracking information or some updates and then the brand didn't respond?
I would feel like I'm being scammed.
You feeling scammed.
Like I would feel kind of like anxious. I feel like as a customer, like you would just feel anxious. You feel like tight, like, hey, listen, like I spent my good hard earned money on this product. Why am I not getting a response? Even if it's just like a follow-up on like a pending order, Right. Like, I just want a response period. And I feel like most customers just want to be heard instead of coddled,
Yeah, so I actually had this customer where I got their order from them and I had some shipping problems. The shipping company wasn't delivering it to their zip code. So I had to reach out to the customer again to, see if they had a second address. Customer never responded. I guess they didn't see the email. Messaged me back like a month or two months later. And, I totally forgot about that order because it went archived because there were so many orders coming in. Super upset. He's like, I waited for 2 months already, no response, terrible service. And he texts me that on live chat. But because all the systems are in place now, I responded within 1 minute. Like 30 seconds, I responded. I was at the gym. I just responded. I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. I will go and check up on this order with, my team right now. And we'll get back to you ASAP. Got back to him within 2 hours. I told him, you know, all of the situations, like the shipping company's not doing this. We could try to get a shipping company for you, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, I'm fine with the wait. I just want to be heard. In fact, I might be interested in buying another product from you. The little things, right, of the fast response time will really help fine tune a business. And then if you could do that for one customer and then you do that at a long enough time scale, you have good referral base. Like people will come back to you. People know like, oh, you know, like customers understand sometimes, right? Like when they buy something and it's being shipped from like overseas, like maybe Italy, they know there's going to be some logistic problems. And most of the time, like they're willing to work with you if you lay down the situation at hand, you know? And then from that point on, it's almost as if like you're not battling the supplier. I mean, you're not battling the customer no more and going butt head to head. It's like you tell them the situation, you tell them you're doing everything you can to work with them, and they'll work with you. You know, it's little things like that, turning negative into positive. That's the biggest thing. Going back to like your original question, it's mindset, man. Mindset is everything. The first thing is being able to turn negative situations into a positive mindset mentality to go about the execution. The second thing I would say in terms of shortcoming is being okay with that doubt voice. You know what I'm talking about? So the doubting voice, it's that voice where like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go up to this girl and go talk to her. Maybe I shouldn't go into his business, right? That doubting voice that lurks on you only during times of solitude, right? I know a lot of people can't be by themselves. That's a harsh truth that I've seen. Some people, they just cannot have alone time. I used to be like that too. I used to be so codependent on a girlfriend or having friends. And recently, I've been a lot more independent. I've been very like, I enjoy my peace. I enjoy being able to hang out with myself. But the second thing that you need to do is being okay with like being by yourself, because when you're by yourself, you will have that doubting voice. That doubting voice is going to make you question everything. Even now, right? I've been doing e-commerce. I've been doing business for like 5-6 years, like half a decade. There's still times where, you know, I doubt myself. That's when it's good to have a community of people that, you know, have the same goals as me. When I don't post sometimes on social media, Jackie will call me out. It's good. I like that. Stuff like that really helps. And in terms of like that doubting voice, you have to accept it sometimes. Like, shit, it might not work. I don't know if it's going to work. Let's do it anyway. Let's see what happens, right? And it's funny. It's cool because it used to be a doubting period of maybe like 1 day. Like out of 7 days in 1 week, I'll doubt myself for 1 day. I'll still execute a 6, but you still doubt yourself for 1 day. But as I start to recognize the patterns of like my own brain, it's like, oh, I'm just like doubting myself again. I'm still going to do it, right? Because if you really want something, if you really want to make money, if you really want to be good in business, if you really want to be like that highest level of yourself, you're going to face doubt, but nothing's going to stop you. Nothing's going to stop me, bro. Nothing's going to stop me and Jackie from making PeakFlow the way we want to, blowing it up and just giving back to the community, rise to your peak, flow to your rhythm. Like no sales call, no customer, no girl, no distraction, no nothing is going to stop us from getting to where we want to be. Therefore, even if I feel doubt right now, even during this little moment of doubt, I'm still going to do it anyway because I know that the big picture, this is minuscule. So once I started reframing my mindset of like, it's normal to feel doubtful, that 1 hour turned to like 30 minutes. And then 30 minutes turned to like 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes turned into like 10 seconds. So sometimes, yeah, like I'll doubt myself. Okay, yeah, you know, I feel a little scared. All right, let's still film it though. You know? Or like, oh, I don't feel like working out. Let's just go anyway. Let's just do it though. Just do 10 push-ups. Boom. Get the gears going and then just keep on propelling, keep on propelling. When you feel like you're losing fuel, you have people that are like-minded to keep on fueling you. You use your pains, you use all of the adversity, you use all the difficulty to really program yourself to keep on going. Because if you really think about it, right? If you were the creator, I don't know what you believe in, but let's just say God or the universe, however you like to call it. If you were to create like an individual and you want them to be the best version of themselves, you can't give them all of the accolades and achievements without them working for it, right? How do you get
sacrificing for it?
How do you create that? How do you get that creation to like go and like sacrifice? You need fuel. But fuel doesn't come from comfort, right? It's weird. Fuel comes from uncomfortability. Fuel comes from pain. So it's almost as if like the more pain you could bear, the more fuel you could get. And then you see it from all of like really famous people that, you know, really grind it. David Goggins, Andy Elliott. They go through these periods of their life where like it was extremely painful, but they use that pain, they manipulate it and then turn it into something positive. That's what you need to grow. You should be thankful that you have all this pain. You should be thankful for the heartbreaks. You should be thankful for the struggle. You should be thankful for adversity because now you have unlimited energy, right? You could either use that as pain and the victim's mentality of like, oh, all of this is happening to me. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Say, why is this happening for me? What lessons am I trying to learn? What am I trying to experience so that, now I can get to the next level, right? You got to think from that perspective. And then again, it's like energy manipulation. But if you're able to like twist that negative into positive, you're able to turn pain and adversity and scared and fear into energy. Oh my God, you have unlimited energy. You put that into execution. Boom, boom, boom. All connects.
I like how you put that. For those of you watching who are experiencing some struggles and obstacles in your own journey as an entrepreneur or even like life struggles, right? I think it's important to, when you feel like you're in that scarcity mindset, when you feel like you're in that mindset where like everything feels like it's coming down at you and like you don't know where to go and you're backed into a corner, and no matter how much you fight, you still get back into a corner, pushed back, right? I think it's really important to like take a step back and even journal your words, journal your thoughts sometimes. So you kind of like sift through like, all right, I'm feeling this way. Why am I feeling this way? And because I'm feeling this way, what can I do further? And then understanding that at the end of the day, you can control yourself. You can control your mind, and you can control the effort and the decisions that you make going forward. I think this past couple of weeks, I've been kind of feeling like off because I've been putting so much on my plate, which caused me to be backed up into a corner. And it wasn't until I journaled for the first time in like a couple of weeks this week where I realized that I was kind of backing myself into this corner of like being scarce due to the amount of workload I was putting on and me unable to like handle that workload. Like I was really asking myself, like, I see all these like greats out there, like doing like a ton of different activities, doing like phone calls 24/7, doing meetings. How do they do that? And I'm like, I'm a human being. I'm a 24-year-old male. Why don't I have the same amount of like energy or like the power to like do that too? But I realized that it's the balancing that needs to come in play, and it's the systems that need to be put into running like your everyday lifestyle. Because whether you like it or not, everything you do is like a system, like your routine. It's like you do 1, 2, 3, 4. Brush your teeth, etc. Routine, meditation, morning walk, etc. Right? I think that one of my shortcomings as an entrepreneur this year was not having a system in place to managing not only my business, but also my lifestyle and my leisure time. And I don't know if you can relate to that, but for me, it's like, I didn't have a system in place where if I got this customer lead, what would I do to it? And then how would I follow up continuously? Or like, how would I schedule my time where I'm working with clients, but also working on my business as well,
Quick question for any buyer that doesn't know what a lead is. What's a lead?
A lead is pretty much you get a customer who's interested in your service or product. And obviously the goal of getting that lead is to close them so you can have them purchase the product or give them your service.
Just in case anybody didn't know what a lead was, because, some people don't know what leads are. But yeah, 100% I agree. Systems are actually a lot, because that's, how we always say, like, how do you do one input to that of 10,000 output? I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how are these greats doing all of this? Like, they're older than me. How are they I don't, like, how could I equal them, right? Like, I have the same energy. Then I realized, oh my God, it's automations, it's systems.
We all have the same 24 hours in a day.
We all have the same 24 hours. So what are you doing to also have leisure time, to make a ton of money, to manage like 100 sales teams? Systems. So that's why recently, like these past few weeks, months, I've been trying to build out all of these systems for us. It's starting to slowly manifest. Like you see where it's going. And it's cool because it takes time, right? It takes time to really have a thought out in place system. But if you're somebody that is just getting started to entrepreneurship, definitely, understand that systems and automations, that's the cool stuff once you start having some traction. In the very beginning, it's all about that mindset, being able to, just do business, like being able to be okay with no's, rejections, being okay with adversity. Like back when, you just said how when you're pushed back against the wall, you know, you don't know what to do. That's when you're really tested. That's where you see what you're about. And that's the thing that you can't get to if you were to be given $400 million. You will never be backed up against a wall unless you lost all $400 million. But then in that case, why did I give you $400 million for you to lose it? You could just have 100K to your name and you could lose it all, and then you'll still go through those fires. And we need to, like, as men, bro, I can't speak for ladies. I can't speak for women. I will speak for men because I'm a man. And we need to go through adversity. That's the whole point of life as a man. Bro, back then, during like the hunting ages, do you know what men had to do? We had to train. We had to be on top of physical shape. And you go to war. What does war mean, bro? You're going in with knives and swords and slicing people and seeing all this gore. And I'm not trying to, you know, I'll keep it PG-13, but like, bro, that's what life was about as a man. Like, you got to like, it's not easy. Like, it's certainly not easy. And then to translate that into the modern world now, right, as a man, it is hyper competitive. Bro, like, the money, everybody else wants the money. The girl, everybody else wants the girl. The car, everybody wants the car. Everybody wants, it's, as a male, it is very hyper competitive. And then if you can't be able to like handle your mindset, the emotions, the adversity, then you're going to get outcompeted by people that can handle it. Because I'll tell you guys right now, right? Like, regardless of how I feel, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, regardless of how I feel, I'm going to get the work done. I have to. I'm at this point in my life where like, I semi like the struggle, right? In a good way, in a way that like, I know it's making me grow. I want it. Because I'll tell you this, right? In this world, you're either going to go to war with yourself or you're going to go to the war with other people. Meaning, if you just let other people dictate, you know, let their opinions kind of voice over you, then you're going to go to war with other people. Or, you know, you go to war with yourself, but why wouldn't you want yourself to be your best friend, right? Meaning like, bro, we all know what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, right? We shouldn't be drinking as much. We should be going to gym more. We should be eating more healthy, you know, doing all that stuff. And then, you know,
I think in business, it's important to understand that it's not easy to build a business. Like, when I was starting my e-commerce store, I saw a lot on like social media saying, oh, build this store and have it running and making you 10 grand, 100 grand a month within like a day. Like, do you think that's possible really? To build a store, run it, and then be able to make like 10 to like 100 grand like a day? I think most people are sold on that. I certainly was. And I didn't understand that how a business had so much intricacies with like picking your niche, with, you know, having the correct product, having the correct landing page, having the correct sales funnel and like email funnel and like newsletter funnel, you know, that like there's so much to a business that I didn't understand because, you know, I feel like you hear a lot, like people like, oh, like, yeah, I want to start a business in the future and like, you know, be my own boss, you know, but when you're your own boss, you're also your own employee as well. You work X amount of hours more than your employees do, you know? So I feel like one of my shortcomings was having to deal with the reality that it's not easy to run a business and it's constant improvement and constant effort into improving like your systems, improving like your brand, improving your story, you know?
I agree 100%. It's almost like a never ending cycle. Going back to like, do you think you could do 10K in a day, 100K in a day? Absolutely. There are people doing it. There are people dropshipping, making $1 million in a day. But here's the thing. They have systems and automation and they know stuff that you just don't know yet. There's something known as like the unknowns of the unknowns, meaning like sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, right? Like you could relate, like even as we're trying to build out PeakFlow, the whole entire brand, we don't know what we don't know. Until we start executing and then you kind of just figure out the problems that come along, the roadblocks, that's when you see more problems. But at the end of the day, like it's all about knowledge. It's all about what you know and then putting into action, execution of that knowledge.
The more and more I experience, the more and more like mistakes that I experience and that I execute, the more I'm able to like learn from it. And then the next time it comes, it gets a little bit easier to like handle it. You know, like for example, like when I get like a 5K order and then the item is not in stock, I used to feel like the world was coming down on me.
Really?
I used to feel like, oh my God, like I got the sale finally, you know what I'm saying? And then the item wasn't in stock. And then I would just feel like, oh my, I just lost $5,000. When like in reality, like nothing really happened.
Nothing really
at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's emotional roller coaster.
It's an emotional roller coaster, and like I didn't realize that, you know. Or I get a order, I ship out the order, and like there was like a damage, I just said before. That like these problems, they're like everyday problems that you deal with. They're everyday problems that big businesses deal with that I never dealt with in the first place. And then when I did, it was like a shock into my heart. And I didn't know how to really reframe my mindset and reframe my emotion to like go through these emotions, you know? And then, but now that I've experienced these experiences, every time it happens, it gets a little bit easier to. Like,
it gets a little bit easier. That's really it. It's part of the process, man.
Like the problems that I dealt with in the beginning of my entrepreneur journey, they seem minuscule now, you know?
They do, right?
And then I feel like the problems that I deal with next week, at the present, they're gonna be like, oh fuck, like it's like a lot, you know?
Yeah.
But then like 5-10 years down the road, it's gonna be like small. That's what I try to tell myself whenever I experience a problem. I'm like, am I gonna be upset about this in like 5 years?
Nailed it.
Right? Am I gonna be upset this in like 10 years? If not, then I'm not gonna spend more than 50 minutes or like 5 hours being upset at it, you know? Because mistakes in business, mistakes in entrepreneurship are bound to happen. It's really how you get back up from those mistakes and really push on forward. And I think that's like the whole self-development, self-improvement of entrepreneurship. It's, you know, going through your battles and understanding that these battles are necessary in order for you to hone your craft, hone your skills, hone your mindset in order to reach another level of yourself, you know?
You got to go to war. You got to push yourself to new limits. You watch Dragon Ball Z, or you know about Dragon Ball Z?
Of course, bro.
Of course, bro. Of course.
Some
people don't know Dragon Ball Z. Some people don't know anime.
Sick.
But
sick.
Dragon Ball Z, you know Goku and Vegeta, right? First, who's your favorite character? Goku or Vegeta?
Definitely Goku. Man.
Okay. Goku. I used to really like Goku. I'm starting to lean more towards like a Vegeta fan.
Really?
I've been really liking his pride, like the Saiyan pride.
I haven't watched like his like the recent Dragon Ball Z, but like a lot of the experiences that I've felt when like watching Vegeta, he was like a hater, bro. He was like a hater. He was like, Kakarot, you're this, you're that. I'm better than you, and he loses, and then it's like I'm still gonna be better than you.
And then Frieza's just like,
yo, pew.
and then Goku becomes Super Saiyan. All right, but why I mentioned that, I think Dragon Ball Z is a great metaphor for life sometimes, bro. As good as they are, as strong as they are, every villain they beat, they're pushing themselves to a new limit. They're constantly going back to train. They're seeking new challenges, seeking new limits. I think that's what entrepreneurship is all about. That's what that self-development was. You know, like you go in and at first it's very hard, but it gets easier over time. When we first started out this podcast, it was quite nerve-wracking, right? Things get more natural, and certainly it's not as easy as it would be for us 5 years later down the line. But that's how entrepreneurship self-development works. It's that first initial momentum that's always the hard part. But once you get down, it gets easier, guys. It gets easier. And here's the cool part. When you go through hard things, you gain respect for yourself. That's where that confidence comes from, right? You're being able to tell yourself, I had a really hard situation and I was able to get through it. Was it the best ideal outcome that I wanted? Maybe not. But you tell yourself, like, anything that comes my way, I'm going to be able to handle it. Good or bad, regardless, I got the strength to do it. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what turn against me. I'm going to have my own back. I'm a one-man army. I got God by my side. Ain't nothing going to take me from where I want to be. The only thing stopping you from where you want to be is yourself. It's your intention and how hard you work for it. Bro, if you really want to get in shape, if you really want to get a six-pack, you go to the gym every single day, you diet hard. How do you not get a six-pack, right? If you want to make a lot of money, you want to grow your businesses, you go in and you have your plan. You go, do the content. You build out the funnels, the systems, the automations. It's compounding. It's a pure, like, almost numbers game. We do this for a long period of time. Bro, Kobe Bryant, to get to his level in basketball, was practicing 3 times a day for decades. Decades, right? So it's like sometimes it's like a pure math game, and then how do you do it consistently is the hard part. Like, it sounds simple.
I want to have 2 different things that I want to bring up with like starting your business and being consistent in your business, right? I think one of the problems that I had in the beginning of starting my business was communication. Communication with not only myself, but to my clients and my customers. At first, I was like very, very nervous to like speak on the phone because I have a stutter. But the more and more I got to the more and more used to it that I got, like speaking like the language of like fitness, language of customer service based questions, right?
Yeah.
The easier it got, you know, like at first, like maybe like on the first 5 to like 10 calls, I didn't do so well. But after that, I learned how to speak in certain ways to talk to the customer, to talk to the client, to close the lead. And the more and more I speak on the phone with like different suppliers to like close them for my store, the more and more I speak on the phone with like different customers pertaining to their order, the easier it gets for me. And I feel like I've come such a long way from when I started. Being consistent in your store and being consistent in your business comes to strategy. And Alex Hormozi put it in a very, very simple way. Strategy is not like these like, you know, building blocks and like these like really intricate patterns. It's what do you need to prioritize first, you know? So when he said that, my mind like flipped, or like there was like a light that like just lit up, you know? I was like, oh, like strategy is all about prioritizing what needs to be done first and then moving on from there. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think planning and strategizing is essential, right? Everybody has dreams, everybody has goals, but not many people have plans, right? Like getting successful, making a lot of money, doing great business, you think that comes from accident, right? Like at one point, even if you work very hard, that doesn't even necessarily mean you're going to get to where you want to be, because a ton of people work hard in the food industry, in the service industries. Everybody works hard. It's more about also like the vehicle, the business model that you work hard in. That's also going to dictate it. And then how do you find the right business model? You need to have the right strategies, the right plans, you know, teams, infrastructure. So yeah, strategy is very important. I would say like I spent this whole weekend, this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, just brainstorming, just thinking how we're going to plan out these next few months, right? Because, you know, before this podcast started, we're upstairs, we're game planning. And I spent like the last 36 hours just thinking.
And like writing down your like priorities.
Yeah, like, you know, there's this famous saying from Abraham Lincoln where he goes like, if you're going to give me 6 hours to use an axe to chop the tree, I'm going to spend the first 5 just sharpening my axe. And that metaphor really just means like preparation is everything, planning is everything. So yeah, I'm a huge believer of strategizing. I'm a huge believer of planning. And if you don't have a plan, or, you know, find a plan, prioritize like what Hormozi said, and go from there.
So I have a question before we like wrap it up, right? Like to the audience watching our podcast right now, looking to like start a business or stay consistent, what actual strategy do you think works with as far as like drop shipping and like e-commerce?
Here's a catch. I think everything works. Low ticket drop shipping, high ticket drop shipping, social media marketing, AI automation, affiliate marketing, Amazon FBA, they all work. It's not even like the technicals. The reason why it's so hard, or why people might not see success in these realms, is because it works for everybody. So therefore, you're competing with the whole world.
You're competing against sharks.
You're competing against sharks, bro, if you're trying to be the 1%. But yeah, it all works. Then it comes down to, you know, which business model or which vehicle do you want to go into? When you first start off having like no money, no experience, no anything, then I would say dropshipping is a great way to learn a lot of the fundamentals. Certainly, even right now, like I think a lot of the fundamentals of, you know, target audience offer, landing page, customer service, infrastructure, supplier negotiation, vendor relationship, all that stuff we learn from dropshipping, right? And then from there, it's cool because we're applying it now to a new vehicle, which is like PeakFlow, where we're building out our offers ourselves instead of finding a supplier to get the offer. We're building out our own offer. We're creating our audience, or targeting or finding our own audience using, you know, the PeakFlow Academy as like our landing page, putting everything that we learned from dropshipping and translating it to a new vehicle. Now, certainly it's not easy. That transition is not going to be easy. But how would we have done this if we didn't have experience, you know, in the building blocks first? So I think that for any beginner, dropshipping is a great route. Now, when you go into dropshipping, that's only what I'm going to speak about, because that's where I went to. There's 2 niches inside dropshipping. There's 2 different business models. There's low ticket and there's high ticket. Both of them work. Both of them have their pros and cons. And a big thing that I want everybody to know when they go into business is like, yo, you're signing up for like a lot of customers, like customer support. You're signing up for a lot of problems that come about, right? That's what business is like.
Business is not just about the money. It's about actually running like a real model, running like a real business.
Yeah, like do you think like if you were to make 100K in a month, like you're gonna have no customers, no emails, no anything to follow? No, you're signing up for that, right? If you want to make that money, if you want to make that profit, you want to do all of that, there are certain sacrifices you're gonna have to sacrifice. So in the beginning, I think any aspiring entrepreneur should have a quest for knowledge, a quest for wisdom, experience. Once you learn it, and again, this is like a learning curve. It takes, some time. Once you learn it, you go and you have more eyesight, or you're more keen to spotting opportunities. Like right now with AI coming in, AI is a new hype right now, right? We have this product that AI uses, and we're able to like apply all of the fundamentals we learned from dropshipping into like other avenues. It's all about just like learning how to build and then finding a new vehicle of opportunity to build.
Where can people get more information on AI and this mindset and strategy that you're talking about?
AI mindset, Shopify course, all of that stuff. You guys could check out the link down below, PeakFlow Academy. It's just $1. So for just $1, you come in, you'll get a private community. What is that private community? It's gonna be me, Jackie, and maybe Nelson going in every single day, giving exclusive daily tips, whether that's fitness, motivation, entrepreneurship. We have a little more insights, like our little private community. But in addition, if you guys want to learn more about dropshipping, all of that's covered for that $1 fee. You'll get a nice dropshipping course. If you don't want to learn dropshipping, great. You want to have some fitness motivation advice. That's where Jackie came in, because he has a nice fitness course as well. And we also, what do we have? We have a Shopify course, Wix course, ClickFunnels course, ChatGPT course that I'm actually in the process of creating right now. I'm just show basic how to use the ChatGPT. I think a lot of people don't know how to use the ChatGPT in general. Like what's a prompt, right? How do you prompt it in the right way? There's actually a marketplace to sell prompts on ChatGPT.
I've seen it before on like Twitter.
Right? Like how you input something into ChatGPT, you can actually sell that for money. So all of these little things I think people aren't aware of, but once we bring light to it, it's just $1, right? You join our community, you join our academy, and then, we take care of you. That's the PeakFlow mantra, right?
We give out like exclusive content and exclusive insights on business, fitness, mindset, and motivation as well.
100%.
So do you have any last words before we go to the audience?
Yeah. What are some struggles that you're going through right now, and how are you going to overcome these struggles these next few weeks?
For me, it's going to be more on balancing. I think as much as I preach balance, right, I struggle with it as well, because just like you, I have a very, very hard work ethic. I don't question me working hard. I question whether I can sustain that hard work through and throughout, and sometimes like for me, it's up to like prioritizing and strategizing what needs to be done first, instead of trying to do 3 things all at once, 5 things all at once. If it's one project, I got to stick on that one project, even if it's for like 2 weeks, and decrease the amount of like time that I put into like my other 4 different projects, So it's about strategizing my time better. It's about balancing my mental health, because if my mental health isn't there, I know I'm not going to perform. I'm not going to perform from a full glass. And I realized that when I got hit rock bottom like around this week, but I got to like pick myself back up, and now I'm ready to
hit
like,
rock bottom this week?
I just felt like I wasn't being nice to like my family. I wasn't being nice to my partner. I wasn't motivated to like do the things that I love, which was like working out. I kept on like spiraling and like, having these really, really bad talks in my head. It got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like I'm sick of like feeling all these thoughts. I need to just write it all out. But when I like spilled it out on a piece of paper, I was able to see from like a third perspective. This is what I'm doing. Oh my God,
I agree.
So then when I saw myself from a different perspective, I was able to like, all right, like now that I'm kind of like relieved of this tension by spilling it out on a piece of paper, I can now meditate on it and then do better moving forward. Because I was like, I'm meditating, I'm like working out like here and there a little bit, but I'm not like getting the results that I want, and I'm not feeling great at all. So I feel like for me, these next couple of weeks is strategizing, prioritizing my time better with regards to balancing my energy levels.
Yeah, balance is very important. I'm actually facing one of a similar problem as you, like balance. I started taking weekends a little bit more leisure. Like I started to chill out a little bit more on my Saturdays and Sundays. Like I still put in some work, like, doing this podcast and stuff. But I've been hitting like some rock bottom points of just almost like burnout, kind of.
Burnout is real as an entrepreneur. Like it's almost like, well, I don't know about other people, but like almost like 2 to 3 weeks, I feel burnout, unfortunately. And again, it's like a whole cycle of like highs and lows, but then finding that rhythm to like flow in where you're kind of just not always, going up and then going down like the next day, it's just kind of flowing.
Finding like a nice calm rhythm.
Yeah, calm rhythm, calm flow throughout the journey,
Me too. I've been feeling like that way. So it's interesting to see how we both have like very similar,
very different aspects, but very similar kind of experiences,
100%. I like that. I like that. When I do have like darker days, when I see this guy posting on social media or saying some motivational stuff, it motivates me. I'm not gonna lie. And
I've been spilling a lot of like my emotions on like my like motivational like stories. Like if I'm feeling really shitty that day, I'm gonna post like a general expression on my story to like remind myself. Like whatever I posted yesterday. Yesterday on my story, I posted the last rep counts the most. Finish it. That was when it was my last 3 hours.
And you talking to yourself, right?
And I was talking to myself, and mind you, it was like 5 p.m. and I've been working since 7 a.m. nonstop. And I was like, let me just put that place in my head of like discomfort in the back of my head and just finish the fucking rep,
Yeah, bro.
So then like that really got me through it.
I love that.
Yeah. And I was like, finish the rep with good quality service. Finish the rep, like even when you're working out, it's your last single rep, right? And you're like, I can't do it anymore.
Just
right?
do it anyway.
Just do it anyways, but do it with the best possible effort and quality form that you can.
Right.
So then that's what I did with my last clients. And it was hard, but I got through it. And
it feels great
today's
after
another
you get
day,
through it.
Today's another day. Yeah. So yeah. I was like, I can control my output. I can't control that. I can't control the rains, but I can definitely control how much I put out. And that's what I did.
Respect, bro.
Thank you, man.
Likewise. Anyways, PeakFlow. Hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want us to talk about future topics. Let us know in the comments down below.
And with that being said, rise to your peak,
flow to your rhythm.
Peace.